All right. Thank you for coming. I'm Mark Klett. I'm a photographer. And what I'm going to show you today is not a conventional image show of the Grand Canyon. It's a little bit different. But it's going to deal with historical images, and that's one of my specialties. I'm interested in historical photographs. First, I'll start with this, and this is not what I'm doing today. This is my first photograph of the Grand Canyon. And it was 1983, I moved to Arizona in 1982. And I was wondering, how do I make a picture of something that's been photographed so many times it probably represents a good chunk of Kodak's income? And as I was contemplating that question, the answer appeared to me, well, why not just photograph what I'm doing, which was having lunch? So I did. But this started my thinking about the Grand Canyon, not as a place that we try to seek out new pictures from, but as a place that actually we might actually embrace the image history of. So I'm going to move into the current project, but first I'll also show you this. This is me and my collaborating partner, Byron Wolfe, and we were at Hopi Point last year, and we had a distinguished visitor, which was President Obama and his family. Now, there's only one thing. We were both at the canyon, but the president was there 24 hours before we did. They literally closed that half of the canyon off for the president. And this is an introduction to something about space. Space and time, we often thought of as being together. But space and time can be separated. And that's partly what we do. This is work from the exhibition and new work that wasn't in the exhibition. Charting the Canyon, photographs by Byron Wolfe. This was at the Phoenix Art Museum. Did anybody here see that exhibition? Okay, well, good. I'm not going to be redundant. This project began in 1997. In this picture, which is both a sunrise and a sunset, just a little nod to point. The two players here are Byron Wolfe, who's back to the camera, sitting on the edge, and me, sitting on another edge. The two of us have been working together now for about 12, 13 years. Byron was a student of mine at ASU and graduated about 1998. We worked together on the Third Beat project. And we've been working with historical photographs ever since. And one of the ideas behind what we do is we find historical images from places like the Grand Canyon. We worked in Yellowstone, we worked in Yosemite, and the Grand Canyon is our latest location. And we try to find out where these pictures were taken. So we'll take this picture and put it into context. In this case, we realized there's only one but two photographs that were taken by William Bell in about 1873. Some of the first photographs of the Grand Canyon. And then we'll go back to the same place and put it into context, which you can see here at Lee's Ferry. And there's a SUV like driving out of the 19th century. So we're interested in putting photographs that have existed as historical documents and kind of icons of the landscape into contemporary perspective. So here you see 4 William Bell photographs that were taken just east of Torrey Point on the North Rim. And we were able to put them together into a panorama form by creating a bigger panorama and embedding the earlier images into the scene as we found it. You can see it's on the right, the 3 images fit into this larger panorama of the canyon. And I don't know why he didn't make one in between to get the river. Maybe he broke the plate, I don't know. Then you see another one on the left where there's a little bit of a different 20-foot, 30-foot difference. We had to walk over again. So it implies a spatial relationship. So we're really kind of mapping photographs in space as we find them. We're interested in where the historic images were made in the canyon and how we can look at them now in the same locations and understand our relationship to that space. We work all this in the field. This is Byron underneath the rock because at this site, because it was like about 105 degrees that they were out there. So this requires a lot of field work, and we go out about twice a summer usually, and we spend about anywhere between 14 to 16 days in the field, actually 13 to 20 days in the field on average. This on the south rim, 2 photographs by Alvin Langdon Coburn of different storms. We realized we can kind of put them together in a diptych. So one of the jobs that we have is to figure out what photographs have been made at what times. And the photographs date from the late 19th century, from about 1873, actually 1869 or so, to into the modernist era, into the late 20th century. And these photographs, for example, were taken about 1911. Here's a photograph of Buffalo Bill and his company having a party. It says at Point Sublime. It wasn't Point Sublime. It was actually on the south rim north. So we'll take a picture like this and embed it into the scene. And you can see here it's in the same panorama with a postcard view made in the late 19th century. Here's a view of people surveying on the south rim. So we'll find that location and pop it into real space. So here you see, this is a view from Maricopa Point, and everybody's looking in the same direction. And these surveyors, this is around the turn of the 20th century, they are using a theodolite under an umbrella, and that white sheet that you see there is actually a signal point. So somebody's probably someplace else in the canyon, maybe 10 miles away, looking for that so they can get a bearing on what that position is. So this is early mapping on the canyon. This is a photograph by Timothy O'Sullivan of the mouth of the Paria River coming into the Grand Canyon of East Ferry. And we connected that to the place where people launch boats at Lee's Ferry, you see here. Done over a 2-day period, so the entire panorama looks like this. And so the early photographs, like the O'Sullivan that you see here, were made for the early surveys, like the Howell survey. And those are the earliest photographs. And then later, we moved through the period of the late 19th century, early 20th century photographs made for tourism, then on to some of the most famous American landscape photographers, which you'll see in a minute, on to the art photographers, and then on to a period of even vernacular images like postcards. This is inset is a photograph by the Cole brothers, Native Americans standing on the edge of the rifle, in which we embedded into the scene, which is just below the place where the Grand Canyon Association has its bookstore. I like this couple in the foreground who's all full of tattoos. It goes on. This is an early postcard. I love these old postcards that were done on like the Lenin postcards. And in this case, this guy was jumping off the ledge onto the other side, and he wanted to make sure he didn't miss the points, so they drew the little lines in. So we wanted to find out where this was, and we backed it up and inset it into the view. And you'll notice that right down here, there's my hand, so I'm pulling down a branch so you can see the canyon beyond, because it's all been overgrown now. This is actually a place where there were a lot of photographs we here. It's on the south rim. If you take that the walkway between like the El Tovar and the observation station along the rim, there is a number of places that were photographed in the 19th century, early 20th century. They're no longer really popular sites anymore, but this was one of them. And even the Cole brothers got down here. This is famous photographs of the Cole brothers lowering themselves down on ropes. A lot of them were done right here in this very same rock. It's kind of a popular spot for photography. This one's just pretty straightforward, but that's the view outside the gift shop window there at the tower on the east side. And it's the same view as the postcard was made from. And down beneath it, I can't see very well, but these are all these little Navajo Weaver dolls that are in the gift shop down there weaving rugs.